Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the bill.
To the bill.
Colleagues, I also rise in support of Senate Bill 777A, and you've heard some conversation that I support today. When Oregon decided to reintroduce the wolf 20 or so years ago, it started out small. And there's a lot of our friends, our conservation friends and environmental friends that celebrated this, which was a good thing. Having the reintroduction of wolf has had an impact. It has an impact on those that want to see the wolf, and it has an impact on those who have their living by having livestock in public lands also. Not just public lands, but also private lands. And as wolf numbers started to expand, we started to see some conflict. In fact, one of my good friends had the first confirmed wolf kill in Oregon. And when that was confirmed as a wolf kill, there was a conversation about compensation. And our environmental friends actually stepped up and compensated for that loss of the calf. In Oregon, the policy, rules, and regulations are kind of convoluted on wolves because part of Oregon is federally protected and part of Oregon is not federally protected. And some of those securities or some of those flexibilities change how you can manage wolves. The compensation program has been in existence since the Oregon Wolf Plan, and that came together with farmers and ranchers working with our conservation and environmentalists. I don't think there's any argument that the compensation is needed because the impact that the wolf does have on our rural economy, our rural men and women who make a living out there. And we'll also acknowledge that, livestock have an impact on the land too. But some will say that impact is a positive impact. When we look at fire seasons, we look at the cows grazing, reducing the fine fuels, that we honestly, as Oregonians, want to keep them on the land. They have much more public benefit than they even do have private benefit. But right now in parts of the state, what we're seeing is that with the margins in agricultural, we are going to lose our cattle ranchers in different parts of the state. Those that have been ag and everything else committee have heard the stories, even this spring, of a pack decimating calving grounds, where at one time, in a few period days, they had 8 confirmed kills. If you're that livestock producer, you can't continue to go down that route because it becomes unprofitable. We've had some of the strongest men and women that I've seen break down in tears. They work 24, 36 hours to try to prevent the damages. 85% of the funds that were in this program went out to non-lethal means. They live. Their husbandry with these livestock is just astounding. It's impressive. I do take some offense as this bill has gone through that we are going to, have a perverse incentive that people won't want to take care of the livestock because we're going to pay them for compensation. Men and women, that's wrong. And that is offensive. And when I hear that, it bothers me. And I don't have livestock. I can't only imagine the slap in the face that is to those men and women that are working. But why we're here today is that we found some flaws in the wolf compensation program. One of the biggest flaws as we've gone through the last decade is the missing component. Right now, a farmer or rancher could file a claim for a missing. Missing's tough. When you turn out into pastures that are 50, 60,000 acres, you're not always going to get every one of your animals back. So was that a wolf deprivation, or was that the animal got sick? So trying to figure out how to eliminate the missing portion has been a conversation for the last 4 or 5 years. Also trying to figure out the impacts that it has to your herd besides the confirmed kill. There's science out there that says, just the wolf activity and the presence brings down breeding numbers, brings back less weight for your calves. And that's scientific research that has proven that. So what we're trying to work through is what is a fair and just compensation for a program that has been supported from our ranchers to our environmental folks. And that's what Senator Nash and Representative Levy brought forward to us today. So with the multiplier, it will take care of the missing. With the multiplier, you're only compensated if it's a confirmed kill by ODF&W. So ODF&W has to come out, look at the carcass, and see the bite marks actually identify that it was a wolf kill. And that's sometimes impossible because the size and the scope of these rangelands we've talked about, sometimes you don't even find a backbone. You don't. So the multiplier should start to bring some equity to the compensation program, which will give our farmers and ranchers some ability to try to be compensated because of the impact that wolves are having. This isn't an anti-wolf bill. This isn't an anti-environmental bill. This is a bill that will support farmers and ranchers and wolves in Oregon. Last thing I'll say is, sometimes you got to look at what the committee vote was and what the committee work. So the Ag Committee has heard more of this conversation than any committee in this building in the last 4 years. We didn't even take a roll call vote on this. We had unanimous support when this came out of committee. Why? Because both sides of that group listened, learned, and support this. It's not political for those that have educated themselves on that. I hope that you guys understand this isn't political either, and will vote yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.